So now that we are in the offseason for the Packers, that's what we want to go over 5 potential players the Packers could end up cutting this offseason. Just because of our cap situation, we definitely need to free up a lot of cap space. I think right now we're around about $50 million currently over the salary cap, calculated by overthecap.com. So the Packers definitely have to do lots of things to fix that situation. I've covered it a few times on this channel in this offseason, different restructures that could potentially happen, different things like that, potential cuts. And so I want to go through 5 guys where based on their salary cap that would be freed up basically, that could potentially make sense. And it's sort of sad thinking about any guys being cut because honestly, as a Packers fan, I'm a guy who I just never love to see Packers players go because I feel like I'm emotionally tied to these guys. And it's just sad to see a guy that you've seen in the Packers uniform end up going somewhere else. It's just not, you would love to just have everyone stay around forever, but obviously this is a business as well, and the Packers have to be like, okay, who do we have to let go so we can have enough money to, continue moving forward. So it's definitely not the most fun topic to talk about, but I want to sort of break down what could potentially happen, a few things that could potentially make sense. So the first guy I want to talk about, we have Darius Smith. So if we let Darius Smith go, we'll save about $15.2 million in cap space. Definitely a very large amount. He will still have a $12.4 million dead cap hit if we do end up releasing him. And I think if we take a look at this past season, just how good the Packers pass rush was with Preston Smith as well as Rashawn Gary, considering the Packers would save $15 million, I think this could be a move that could make sense. I think Darius Smith is still a great player, and it was unfortunate definitely that he missed so much of the season with that back injury. But it could be a move where the Packers could free up lots of cap space. So next we have Preston Smith. So I just mentioned how the Packers got it done last year with Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary. And I think looking at both Preston Smith and Darius Smith, I don't think we should let both of these guys go. I think that if we do have to let someone go, I think it could make sense to let one of these guys go because then we're able to pair whichever one of them with Rashawn Gary as well, then maybe come in and, draft some defensive end somewhere in the draft, maybe pick up some cheap free agent as well to, have some more depth on the edge there in Green Bay. But if we let Preston Smith go, we'll free up about $12.4 million, and he will have a $7.25 million dead cap hit. Now, the third guy, we have Randall Cobb, who, of course, came in here this past season because Aaron Rodgers really wanted him here. If we let him go, we will free up $6.7 million in cap space, and he will have a $2.7 million dead cap hit. And here's the thing with Randall Cobb. I think he's still a solid player. Unfortunately, he has dealt with some injuries this past season, dealing with that core injury for like 4 or 5 weeks near the end of the season this year. And I think if Aaron Rodgers comes back, he could be like, okay, guys, I really want Randall Cobb here still. So maybe they could find a way to maybe restructure his contract. And so I feel like if Aaron Rodgers is here, there's a much higher chance Randall Cobb is here just because of how much, just how close of friends Randall Cobb and Aaron Rodgers are. He's talked a lot in this season, just how great it was to have, one of his best friends there in Green Bay. And so I don't think that should be overlooked if he does come back, that I think he's still a solid player. And just because of his and Aaron's relationship, maybe the Packers decide to come in there and restructure his contract a little to make it not as big as, a cap hit this next season. But if we do let him go, if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, even if he is there, we would free up $6.7 million and, as I said, a $2.7 million dead cap hit. Now, moving on to number 4, we have Dean Lowry, who had one of his best seasons this past year. He actually had his best pass rush year ever, having 42 pressures and 6 sacks in the past 2021 season. If we let him go, we would free up about $4 million in cap space. He would be about a $4 million dead cap hit. And if we did let him go, we have TJ Slayton, who we drafted this past season, who I think was taking some big steps forward during the season. It sort of looked like he's definitely a lot better against the run. TJ Slayton, maybe not as much in the passing game, but he could, develop in that area. And so I think the fact that the Packers could free up that $4 million, and they do have a rookie like TJ Slayton out there, that could potentially make sense. Also, Jack Heflin could potentially take some steps forward coming into this next season. And then maybe also the Packers draft some kind of defensive lineman, if they were to let Dean Lowry go. But that could make sense. Then finally, we have Mason Crosby, who's one that I've seen brought up a lot. And, who knows how long Mason Crosby is going to play. Maybe he retires sometime soon. Who knows, though? Maybe he keeps playing because, some kickers can play a very long time. And just looking at this salary cap, if we did let him go, we would free up about $2.4 million of cap space, which is a pretty solid amount. And then when you sort of look at the cap hits for all these players, these were definitely like 5 of the ones that I think could potentially make sense, and it has a somewhat substantial amount of money. Clearly, Darius Smith has the biggest one, and then probably Preston Smith. The Packers have kept J.J. Molson around, who recently played at UCLA in college. He's been on the Packers practice squad for a while, and so maybe that's the Packers' plan to eventually move from Mason Crosby to J.J. Molson. Who knows, though? Maybe Mason Crosby will retire sometime in the future. Maybe the Packers will let him go. Maybe they won't. Who exactly knows there, but it's definitely a possibility when you look at the cap situation. So those are my top 5 potential cuts that I think could potentially make sense. I don't want to see any of them happen. It's definitely sad to see, people be released and people go. If you guys haven't subscribed, I put out Packers content daily. I'm also going to start putting out some more NFL draft content. I put out a video yesterday breaking down like my top 5 wide receivers. So if you haven't seen that video, it'll be linked in the comments or the top of the description down below. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.